Greetings, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Alina Phoenix, and I just wanted to give you a little update. And I am speaking to you now from my brand new apartment in Ohio. I am so blessed to be here. I just went back to Farmer City last weekend to get my kitty cats, and they are now here. So it feels a lot more like home now. And I'm already noticing some significant positive improvements in my health and well-being and my emotional resilience. And it's so wonderful to be living so close to the lake. I have had some wonderful walks along the lake, and since it's kind of cold for the locals, I typically have the beaches to myself at this point, or very near to it. So I've been enjoying that, and it's so interesting because um, I'm transitioning my cats from indoor outdoor cats to fully indoor cats, and so I actually got like pet stroller. And my idea was, I would load my kitty cats into the stroller and go for a walk around the neighborhood, and then I would meet people. And so yesterday I took Kara in the stroller for the first time, and I met some really cool people right across the street from me that I actually have a considerable amount in common with. And so that just makes me feel very happy. So I just haven't been on to do just a little update in a while. And oh my gosh, the month of October was a really intense month of transition. Not just for me, but it seems like for a lot of people. And I've noticed so many people just making major life changes on purpose, or also having major life changes just sort of thrust upon them. And some of those changes have been coming in the form of the passing of beloved pets and people. And so whatever the change is that's showing up in your life, there may be a period of intense grieving going on right now. And so that's something that I'm experiencing as well. For all of the positives that I have been encountering and experiencing, I've also been having a lot of grief. I've been having a lot of grief. This is not an easy thing to do, to uproot your entire life and move to a brand new state where you really don't have anybody. But I still, in my heart, feel like it's the right thing for me. And so I'm sending so much loving support to every single person out there who is going through changes, either planned or unplanned, every single heart that is in grief. I'm just sending so much loving support, and I pray that, the sun will come out and the rainbows will become apparent, and, these changes will ultimately be for our best and highest good and the greatest possible benevolence. So, I wanted to get out my little Prism Oracle, my favorite deck, and we're going to do a little general check in today. And so we're going to start with energy on its way out. And the energy that's on its way out is anxiety. Oh, thank goodness. I've had more than enough of that in my life. And so, for myself, I can relate because I've just moved. And anytime that you're moving, and especially such a big and drastic, dramatic move as what I have done, it's a hugely anxiety provoking experience. And I think that this also speaks to all of those changes, those both planned and unexpected changes that I was just speaking about. October was a huge month for lots of changes. And you know, humans don't tend to have a historical track record of being awesome about change. A lot of us have been taught that change is not safe. And there's some deep programming about change not being safe. And we're also coming off of another another very large group of people who believed it was the end of the world again. There was a very large group that was saying that it was going to be the rapture, and quite a few people that were literally selling all of their belongings in anticipation that, oh, we're just going to go ahead and ascend to heaven. So we don't need all this stuff anymore, and they're sadly disappointed. I imagine that also brings a lot of anxiety. Uh, the work that I do, especially with the ancestral stuff, is very, very interesting because I have encountered that fear that it's the end of the world so many times in so many different people's ancestries, like as far back as like 90 generations ago. And that ironically gives me hope that all of these people, all of these generations back thought that the world was ending, and yet we're still here and we're still ticking. And so that just makes me feel like, another 100 generations from now, somebody else will be doing this kind of ancestral work and they'll look back and go, oh, look at these ancestors in 2020, the believing that the world was ending. And how quaint. So I think that we're going to keep going. I think that things are changing at an incredibly rapid pace. I think that we are having some revelations on both personal and societal levels that are needed and are going to help us move forward with greater clarity and truth. And I think that that's part of the reason why the anxiety is moving out, because especially in terms of society, in terms of some of the major conditions, autoimmune, autism, ADHD, etc., we're starting to get real actionable answers on what's driving these things and how we can correct them. And that puts power back in our hands. And when we have powerful ability to make choices, to be in charge of our destiny, that helps us to move past anxiety because we recognize our own power. We recognize that this is not just something striking out of a clear blue sky, but it is something that we have a choice in and that we have control over and that we can manage and we can prevent and we can heal. And I think all of those things are to the good. And it does involve some necessary deconstruction of certain societal belief structures. That is not a comfortable process. And I imagine that there's anxiety in that too. Our world view is crumbling apart. All of these things that we thought we could trust, turns out we couldn't. Well, that happened to me 20 years ago. When my children were vaccine injured and the medical system harmed my children, and I've been harmed repeatedly by the medical system and the food system and the chemicals that we have in this world. And so I've been living in a world where I've had to take control in very specific ways to manage my health for a really long time. And I no longer really feel anxiety over that. I feel empowered because I know my choices control my destiny. And so I don't have a lot of anxiety over that. My anxiety is passing because now that so many of these factors are coming to light, that means that it is far less likely that somebody's going to try and force me to do one of those things that I know has hurt me before and is likely to hurt me again. So I'm personally grateful for these revelations that we're seeing coming out on a society level. All right, energy moving in is strength. Energy moving in is strength. And that is a beautiful thing. I think that, now that we are being empowered with better information, we can make better choices. We can start accessing our own agency and calling upon our own resilience in deconstructing these things that have been built that are actually to the detriment of all of us. So, personally, collectively, strength is moving in, and that is a wonderful thing because we are all stronger than what we really know. So that is a wonderful, beautiful thing. So now we have the lesson that we're learning. The lesson that we're learning in our life right now is frustration. Oh, everybody's favorite lesson, everybody's favorite lesson. And yeah, we can see this on a big collective level for sure. There are a lot of people that are fighting to keep the old belief system alive, that are fighting to keep the old structures alive that they believed in. And it's a really frustrating thing for me as an individual who has been working towards a less toxic world, a more holistic world, a world where we are empowered to take better care of ourselves, that we don't rely so much on experts and on chemicals and synthetics to fix us, because they don't really, they're not very compatible with our body. That's why we have side effects. But the more that this information is coming out, that say Tylenol is harming women and their fetuses, and then we see these people that are like, well, I don't believe what these people are saying, so I'm going to go ahead and down a bunch of these substances, and I'm going to go and double down on my old belief system, because I trust science and I trust medicine. And so they go and they literally, they're hurting themselves. They're hurting themselves because, like, instead of opening up their eyes and seeing that, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe this is an unpleasant truth that I didn't want to believe, but the evidence is there. Instead, they're just doubling down on their belief systems of, okay, the vaccines are safe and effective, so I'm going to go and get, three at once. And then, I'm going to make sure that I, get all of the extra ones. The people that are downing half a bottle of Tylenol while they're pregnant and they're hurting themselves and their babies. Like, this is a frustrating thing to observe, because truly, like, this movement that is all about, trying to help us be healthy again, is bringing forth good information. This is information that's actually been in the books for many, many years, and it's just been suppressed because it is inconvenient to the profit motive of the system. And that's just a very sad thing. And so frustration has been very present in me for more than 2 decades in this particular area. And that's playing out very much on a collective level. There are a lot of people that are frustrated that their beliefs in the system are being challenged. There are a lot of people on the other end who have seen the harm of the system that are frustrated that these people are doubling down on the harmful things that are being identified clearly, just because they don't like the people that are bringing forth the information. How about let's set aside our personal beliefs and feelings about the individual who is putting forth the information and look at the information? Dig deep. If it's the truth, it holds up. If it's the truth, it holds up. And it doesn't sit there and use circular logic or straw man or start out with assertions like, we know XYZ intervention is the biggest, best thing in humanity. Well, if your study is immediately starting out by saying XYZ saved humanity and it's the best thing ever, that's a bias. That's a straight up bias that they're even starting out with. That's not an anchored in reality truth. So watch for the biases, look for the truth. The truth is going to be the truth regardless of who says it, regardless of how many people challenge it. The sun rises in the east. Doesn't matter how many people say it rises in the north, it rises in the south, it rises in the west. Doesn't matter how many people says those things. The evidence of your eyes will show you. The evidence of reality bears it out. So look at the evidence. Put aside your feelings about the source and look at the evidence. If the evidence is good, maybe it's time to take action on that evidence. And so that feels like the frustration that's playing out on the collective level that I can also feel on a very personal level. And then on a personal level, it feels like there's a lot of frustration with all of this unexpected and oftentimes unwanted change that is just being thrust upon us. So many of us have gotten comfortable just with the way things are. We might not have been happy, but we know what to expect. And now with inflation going through the roof and budgets being strained on a personal basis, with all of these big changes that are happening society wise in politics, in medicine, in education, in all of these things, like everything is being shaken up and we don't know what to expect anymore. And that's a very frustrating experience for us because we like when we can say, all right, we know what's coming, we know what to expect, we know what to believe. I know about the world. We like that. It makes us feel safe and comfortable. We don't have that anymore. We're looking around and we're seeing, gosh, we're being fed by all of these illusions and delusions and profitable marketing lies everywhere. Like, where do we go? Who do we trust? How do we pay for things? It's a big, frustrating experience for sure. All right, so the next one is advice from our higher self, and that is confidence. Confidence. Can we have the confidence in ourselves that through these challenging, frustrating times that we have the inner strength to be able to survive them, that we have access to the inner wisdom to be able to make good decisions so that we can navigate this. And actually, towards that end, I have a gift for you. I'm going to be part of the Worldwide Channeling Summit on November 21st through the 23rd, alongside such luminaries as Lee Carroll, channeler of Kryon, Marilyn Harper, channeler of Adirondha, Monica Morani, and so many others. And I have a free ticket for you down here in the comment section, description section. You know what I'm pointing to. And if you're not available to be there live, there is the ability to purchase access to the replays. And the replays are going to be very, very valuable because they are going to enable you to rewatch all of that as much as you need to in order to absorb all of that information. Because sometimes when you've got a big 3-day event where it's just all of this information all at once, it can be a lot to absorb. And so it's really nice to be able to revisit that. But I'm actually going to be teaching innate communication as my particular contribution to that event. And that's how to channel your own inner wisdom, how to figure out what's good for you and bad for you in this crazy world, how to discern truth from lies by tuning into your body. And so I invite you to please join us for that event, especially because you got a free ticket below. So confidence is the advice from our higher self. You have the inner wisdom, the intuition to be able to navigate this. It's time to learn how to tap into that and access that and to move forward confidently in this world, knowing that we can get through this. All right, and then the outcome of this period in our lives, ooh, fear. Not necessarily the outcome that I was hoping for, but this is incredibly prevalent right now. So many people are in fear. So many people are in fear. And I feel like this fear is going to be present whether you want it to be there or not, because there is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of uncertainty. And there are a lot of things that need to be deconstructed before we can build the systems that are going to serve us. But this fear, it can either be something that holds you back, or it can be a catalyst to do the things that you need to do to change. How are you going to use it? How are you going to use this feeling? Are you going to use it to try and retreat back into the old? Because it's the old energy that uses fear to control us. Because when we're fearful, we are not thinking rationally. We are not using our inner wisdom. We are not in a place of confidence. We are not operating from a place of strength. So the old energy is not going to go out without a fight. And so there will be an uptick in fear-based messages to try and pull us back into the old, into the familiar, into what we thought we knew, even though the stuff we thought we knew was good for us is not good for us at all. So do watch for those fear-based messages. Feel for how it feels in your body. And when you feel that fear, it's a time to maybe calm down and turn inward and turn off the media and tune in to your own inner wisdom and use your own inner wisdom to navigate through that door. Because fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It is a mechanism for our survival. And we need to use this consciously and not allow ourselves to be unconsciously ruled by it. So pay attention to that fear in your body. And when you feel it, it's time to get rid of the distractions, turn inward to your own heart, and figure out, all right, am I picking out that fear because it's being broadcast to me and thrust upon me? Is the information that is causing that fear truthful, or is it a manipulation tactic? Is this an indication that I'm truly in danger and that I, in my own personal life, need to do something different? Or is this just the old energy trying to survive, trying to pull us back into that control paradigm? And there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that. We're not in the clear yet. We are in the very infancy of the new energy of balance on this planet. And the old energy of fear and control, not interested in balance. Balance takes them out of control. Balance means that we are strong, confident individuals that don't need any kind of an outside authority or nanny state to tell us what to do, because we just know what needs to be done to be balanced. And I think that that is a goal that is worthy and worth working for, both personally and collectively. So thank you very much to our higher selves and to the wonderful Prism Oracle for another enlightening reading. And I also feel like I want to get a little message from Kryon here because, especially on that end note of fear, uh, I would like to bring in a little bit of a loving message as an antidote to the fear in this world. And so I'm going to shuffle this deck 3 times. Dear Kryon, please tell us what it is that we need to know right now. All right. Benevolent energy. Benevolent energy. So, yeah, let's see what this has to say. But this really feels like, when I feel into this, this just feels like this period of transition. All of these changes that we are experiencing are truly benevolent for us, that they are leading to our best and highest good, that they are leading to a society that is balanced and peaceful and is able to agree to disagree and will come together to create a much better society than what we have ever before experienced. And I think that that's what's coming. That's what I feel in my heart. That's what I feel in my heart. So, benevolent energy. Synchronicity is learning to acknowledge the higher self and the fact that God is inside. It shows a willingness to listen in a way you never have before to a source that is personal, loving, benevolent, and beautiful, an energy that will never change. Kryon. From Lee Carroll. I can remember when I first learned of the possibility that inside us is another separate entity, the higher self. My first reaction, where is it? The answer I got was a question. Where is love? In other words, there are some things that are very real to each of us, but which don't have a 3D place. This card ties the idea of the higher self creating synchronicity. So, therefore, the more you acknowledge the idea that there really is a piece of God inside you, the more synchronicity you create within your life's path. You begin listening to the more esoteric things around you, and that's called intuition. Are you beginning to see how these are connected? You are always in a soup of benevolent energy. So, in actual fact, this card is now asking you, what would you like to create? Take a moment or two to ponder this question. When you are ready, place your order with pure intent and relax in the knowledge that it's already on its way. Expect benevolent energy in your life. Benevolent energy. Ooh, I love that so much. And that is so much of the path that has led me to exactly where I am right now, learning how to connect to that inner wisdom inside. And that is what I encourage you to do as well. Tune into that higher self, that inner wisdom, that innate knowing piece of God that is inside of you that is not separate. For it will lead you through these times. And even though things seem scary and challenging and all of the feelings will arise, you will end up in a better, more beautiful place than you can imagine. And I'm right now sitting and living proof of that. Oh my gosh, my life right now from a year ago is so vastly different, and I am so blessed. And not every single thing is the way I wish it would be. That's okay. It's turning out in some ways better than I expected. So, another message, eternal family, eternal family. All right. When you lose a loved one in your family, a part of their soul energy or their God part goes into your Merkaba, which is your field of life, and is with you for life. They are never gone. Here is a system of benevolence you didn't expect. Kryon. Oh, gosh, what a beautiful message to speak to those unexpected changes and those unexpected passings that we've been experiencing lately. From Lee Carroll. Within the energy of this card, there's a profound message from Kryon that is one of the most comforting of all. Those you have loved and lost are not gone. In addition, Kryon is teaching you that when they transition, there is a system that actually attaches part of them to your spiritual core, your Merkaba, for life. This is a bit different than any of us were taught and is far more in alignment with what many of the ancients also taught. Family stays with family. What a system. It is designed to give you comfort around the loss of those you love. However, think of this. A part of you will also be with your children, your family, after you transition. This is a beautiful system of soul family that helps us all to understand how connected we are. The transition of death is simply that, a transition of energy. Pulling this card is a wink from those loved ones beyond the veil whom you have lost. They are with you now, and they want you to feel their warm embrace. There is an eternal family, and we are all part of it. That makes me feel a little bit emotional. I mean, I've definitely got some people that I have lost along the way. And I left my cup of tea downstairs, but I have this memorial mug for my Uncle Jim, who is also my godfather. And I'm using that today. It's just not at my desk up here with me. It's downstairs waiting for me. So that's a big hug. And the final card I want to pull is the energy of love. The energy of love. If you lose someone you love, I want you to remember this. They may appear still and cold and gone forever, but that is just in 3D, and it's not the truth. They are alive and well and looking at you, pleading with you to see the energy of love that they represent. They are not gone. Kryon. From Lee Carroll. This message is very precious and has been the theme of Kryon in many channelings within the past years. As loving as it is, the reality is that we miss those we lost so much. We pulled this card for a reason. It's about the profound energy of love that lasts and lasts. Take a moment. Perhaps you might like to ponder someone in your past who you have loved and lost. What if, just what if, they were still here with you in some way? Science tells us that you can't create or destroy energy. Instead, it simply changes form. The human soul is energy and falls squarely into that description. So ask yourself, if I were designing the system of life and death, and the soul lives on forever, what's the most benevolent, loving thing that I could design within this system? The answer is this. The body doesn't last very long, but the soul is forever. So make a design where all those we loved and lost stay with us in a silent but magnificent way and continue to love and help us. This design begs us to let it be felt in our lives and in our dreams. If indeed you would design a system like this, imagine what God has done. It's far larger and grander than anything we can imagine. Get out of 3D where things are either black and white, alive or dead. Instead, understand that there is a multidimensional system that emulates the compassion of God, where souls stay with us in ways that are not understandable, but are felt every day if we allow it. Love is that way. Celebrate that person you are thinking of. Greet them and tell them that you are thankful that they will be with you until your last breath and beyond. A lot of tears today. Oh my goodness. Oh, I feel like my grandma is here, and I feel like my Uncle Jim is here, And I feel like my grandma Mary is here too. Like I can feel them. And it feels like I'm getting big hugs and acknowledgments. And so many more ancestors, like just so many more ancestors. I almost feel like I'm standing in a crowded room. And it's a beautiful feeling because, we are surrounded by the love of those who came before us. All of those who came before us, they are not gone. They are with us in some part and in echoes that many of us don't even understand and don't recognize. And that's something that I learn just a little bit deeper every month when I do the ancestral clearings, a little bit deeper every individual session when I have ancestors that come up and their life experiences come up for being shared with the people that I'm working with. And then they can see how these echoes from so many generations back are still within us. And while the energies that I am often releasing are those energies of pain and trauma that have been passed down, we also, whenever you work with me, in addition to releasing that which it's time to bring to an end, we also honor our ancestors and we call forth the blessings and we ask them to be with us and to help us manifest peace on earth, both personally and collectively. And so I do invite you to come join me for the monthly ancestral healing Zooms. I've got plenty of space. And yeah, we're making big progress. This month, November 2025, we're going to be working on patterns of clutter, disorganization, procrastination, and overthinking, which in my own personal life, as I'm starting over in a brand new space and I still have a clean closet and clean drawers and cabinets and there's no doom piles accumulating just yet. Everything is nice and in order. I personally want to keep it that way, and I want to move forward in a way where I keep a space that is orderly and calm and beautiful and that I feel good walking into. Because my goodness, if you're living in a place that is very cluttered, that has, dirt accumulating and closets that we don't look in and drawers that are just, we don't realize how much those things actually impact our nervous system and clutter our thinking. And so I feel like releasing those patterns is going to help bring a lot of needed calm into our lives, and perhaps help us release the need to accumulate so much that just ends up collecting dust. Do we really need those things? Speaking for myself, I also would like to release these patterns of ooh, shiny, click, buy now. Another shiny, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. So, if you also wish to release those patterns, I invite you to join me. And in fact, tomorrow night we're going to be doing a full moon release and a wealth, well-being, and currency consciousness activation. And so we're going to be choosing to release these patterns that we would like to let go of, and we will be activating our personal Polaroid of consciousness in a very sequential way, as I learned through my mentor, Peggy Phoenix DeBro, in order to support the creation of wealth, well-being, and currency consciousness, both on a personal and collective level. So I invite you to join me for that. So I think I've done enough talking for now. Thank you so much for sticking around with me. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.